Welcome back to Tech Currents. I'm Alex. This week, the chatter about AI moved from theory to a full-on replay of economic anxiety. Reports called it the week the AI scare turned real. Layoffs, talk of ghost GDP, and frantic threads on Hacker News pushed AI into everyday worry. Briefly, what happened?
I'm Maya. In short, big media pieces and social feeds converged with real business moves. Fortune ran features about mass layoffs tied to automation, and a concept journalists are calling ghost GDP, economic activity that looks smaller or more fragile because AI is displacing certain jobs and revenue patterns. At the same time, you had startups and big firms cutting roles, CEOs admitting they're prototyping AI versions of themselves, and developer communities suddenly worried that agents aren't trustworthy. It all created a moment where the abstract promise of AI collided with real, immediate disruption.
That line about CEOs building AI versions of themselves, it sounds like tech theater, but it's unsettling. Is this mostly noise or a real inflection point?
It's both. The coverage amplified real signals, layoffs, and efficiency rationales, but commentary from workplace experts urged against panic. The key is this: the technology is getting powerful quickly, and companies are rethinking headcount and roles. But the long-term effects depend on policy, retraining, and whether firms actually redeploy people into new kinds of work or simply cut costs.
Okay, unpack ghost GDP for listeners who didn't read the Fortune piece. Is this a new economic metric or a metaphor for disruption?
It's primarily a framing device journalists are using. Ghost GDP points to economic output that becomes invisible or diminished when AI replaces labor or automates tasks without generating equivalent new, measurable economic activity. For example, if a bank automates document review with AI, the bank's costs drop and revenue might not rise in a way GDP trackers capture. So activity is happening, but it's harder to see in traditional measures. The danger is policy lags. If governments don't update how they measure productivity and tax flows, they'll misread the economy.
That makes sense, and it explains why layoffs feel so dramatic right now. When CEOs say AI will replace jobs, are they forecasting doom or admitting a reality?
A bit of both. Some CEOs are candidly planning smaller teams because AI increases efficiency. Others talk about AI creating new jobs, but those roles often require different skills. The immediate effect is displacement at entry and middle levels, the folks who do repeatable tasks. That's why labor market policy and reskilling programs are urgent, not optional.
The developer community seemed to swing from skepticism to fear overnight. What did Hacker News add to the story?
Hacker News captured that emotional shift in real time. Threads went from debating whether AI was useful to worrying about job loss and warning, "Don't trust AI agents." Developers flagged unreliable behavior from agent systems, safety gaps, and potential for automation to break workflows. That on-the-ground skepticism is crucial because enterprises often lean on developer communities to vet tools before wide adoption. When the community loses trust, adoption slows, but business pressures can push companies to deploy anyway.
So a trust gap could actually accelerate risky rollouts if management is impatient.
Exactly. If executives are under pressure to cut costs, they might sidestep careful vetting. That's where policy and internal governance matter. Audits, red team testing, and phased rollouts can reduce harm. Otherwise, you get flaky agents doing critical work, which scales mistakes, not productivity.
We mentioned CEOs earlier. There's been a parade of executives saying AI could replace them too. Is that performative or prescient?
A little theater, a little truth. Public comments from leaders about AI CEOs or AI versions of themselves do two things. They signal to markets and investors that the company is forward-looking, and they normalize AI as governance. But they also highlight a cultural shift. If leadership frames AI as inevitable, the organization will restructure quickly. That can be smart or reckless depending on safeguards. The cultural work is equally important. Communicating retraining paths, transparency about where AI is used, and ethical guardrails.
And when pundits say panic is the wrong reaction, what should people actually do?
Don't panic, but don't be passive. Push for clear transition policies at work, seek reskilling opportunities, and demand transparency from employers. At the policy level, push for updated labor metrics, stronger safety testing, and systems that support displaced workers. That's sober planning, not alarmism.
Quick final thoughts. What should listeners watch for next week?
Look for 3 signals. 1, where the firms announce more job cuts tied explicitly to AI. 2, any policy moves on measuring productivity or labor protections. And 3, technical reports about agent reliability from independent auditors. If those start aligning towards safety and retraining, the transition will be less chaotic. If not, expect more headlines and more anxiety.
Good checklist. And a little optimism. Humans built these systems so humans can design how to use them responsibly.
Agreed. We'll keep watching, keep asking tough questions, and report on the fixes, not just the failures. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Currents.
That's it for today. Join us next week when we'll dig into AI tooling for small businesses and whether your startup really needs an AI CEO. Spoiler, probably not yet. The preceding audio summary was created at jesterengine.com, where you can find and verify the original sources.